Bud here at Dependable Lawn Care, and today we're working on the FW15. We're going to be changing blades and trying a couple things, so let's jump right into what we're doing. Today we're doing some maintenance on the FW15. I've just gone through and sharpened all my mower blades for all of my mowers, except for the blades that are on there, and they're probably due to be sharpened. So I've had some questions on some of my FW15 videos, and people are wanting me to do two different things so that I'm going to do today just for them, and that is one, trying the ultra high lift blades on the FW15 with just open mowing, and then also bagging grass clippings, which is not something I normally do. I don't normally bag grass clippings, but I've got my bagger out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little bit of mowing with the ultra high lifts on, and then I'm going to do probably the other half of the yard, we'll say, with the bagger and bag the clippings, or vice versa. So now the blades, so these are the ultra high lifts, and that's what the factory calls them, and these are actually for, one of them is for the bagger kit, the factory bagger kit, and you put it on the discharge side to get the airflow enough, to fill the bagger. And the way you use the bagging kit is you have one standard blade and one ultra high lift. So I'll show you the difference here, get these side by side. So the difference in the lift is in the tail. So you see how this blade comes up right here. This is the tail of the blade. And this doesn't have near as much lift as this does. This is, that's about as far up of a lift as you can get without being, straight up, I guess you'd say. And you also notice that they come out farther on the edge when they start the bend of that lift, so you really don't have very much sharpenable edge right here. You'd only sharpen that so many times, and then you're going to run out of edge to sharpen because it goes right into the lift, versus the factory blade that's pretty much straight all the way across. So that's the difference between the regular lift or the high lift blade and the ultra high lift blade. Now the length of the tail is the same, so that's not going to affect anything. And basically what we want to see is if these blades get any more lift or airflow than the factory blades. And what I'm also kind of looking for on this is to see if it's too much. You can have too much airflow, and basically what happens there is you get so much airflow coming up into the deck that the air is pushing back down too hard, because that air that's coming up has to go somewhere. So if it's not all going out the discharge side, then it's going to basically overflow the deck with air, and then it starts to push the grass down, which kind of defeats the purpose of the higher lift, because the whole purpose of the higher lift is to lift the grass up so that once you cut it off, everything is nice and neat. So I just pulled the blades off, so I wanted to show you under the deck real quick. So there's a little bit of buildup right there. So you see that big old chunk? So a little bit of buildup right there, and then there's some thinner stuff around the edges, but not too bad. A little bit over here on the discharge, on the plate, and on the opening. So, and you see it's all dry. It's spring, so we've had some wet weather, but it's actually been kind of a dry spring. Using just the medium lift blades works pretty good on keeping the deck clean. It self-cleans, I guess you'd say, for the most part. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this scraped clean, get the ultra high lifts on here, and we'll see how they do. the main thing I noticed was over in this area, you know, where there's no grass or very little grass, I could hear lots of stuff being picked up. Probably just sticks, because there's tiny little sticks and stuff everywhere. There's some nuts too. And it might have even been picking up rocks. I don't know. I didn't see any rocks, but you could definitely tell that it was getting some really good suction off the ground. You know, it was really pulling everything up. So other than that, as far as like cut quality, I don't really notice anything. Of course, this side of the house doesn't grow quite as fast as the front does. And also I should point out that I'm mowing at 4 inches. So show you that real quick. So yeah, deck height 4 inches right now. So I'm not taking a lot off, but on the front where it's a little thicker, I'll probably still be taking 2 or 3 inches off, because we've had a lot of rain and I haven't been out here to mow as often as I should. So anyway, so far so good. I mean, seems to be working fine. We get into this thicker stuff and we'll see how it does. I've got the bagger on, so we'll also be seeing how quickly the bagger fills up. got some weight to it, and it's like most of the way full, very little space left. So I probably covered about close to 1,000 square feet before I filled it up. So let's dump this bad boy out. Like I said, I'm going to finish up the yard open chute because I really don't like to bag the yard anyway. But I had someone request it, so here you go. Okay, so it's a pretty good little pile of clippings, and mulched up nice. Looks like most of those clippings are a couple inches long or less, but I know I'm taking a little more than that off, but I'd say a lot of it's probably getting chopped up a bit more too. So let's finish this dude up. So cut quality looks good. I didn't notice any grass being pushed down, not seeing any stragglers, so I mean it basically looks like it normally would. The one thing I did notice is that the clippings are throwing farther, which is perfectly fine. I mean, I definitely don't have any complaints about that. Spreads the clippings out a little bit better. It did get a little bit more of the clippings on me, but that's to be expected if it's got more movement, more airflow rather. So anyway, one other thing I want to do is look under the deck and see if there's a bunch of grass stuck to it. So let's go do that. That was kind of a pain with having such a narrow board, but anyway, let's take a look up in here. So that actually looks pretty clean. I mean, there's a little bit right here, but not much. And other than that, there's nothing new under the deck. Everything is what was left after I scraped it out. So those ultra high lifts, at least on an open deck setup, might be the way to go. I mean, that's pretty clean, and that grass was definitely not wet, but damp. I mean, there was moisture in it from yesterday because it rained all day yesterday. So yeah, I'm actually kind of happy with that. So what I'll do, guys, is I'll go ahead and run these for a while. And you know, my yard's nice, you know, nice grass, no weeds, thick, all that good stuff. But I'll get this on some properties that aren't so nice and don't have weed control, don't have nice grass, you know, all that. Places where it's thinner and all that, and we'll see how it looks and see how it does on those yards. So anyways, a little bit of testing for you guys that wanted to see the ultra high lift blades and wanted to see the mower bagging. Now I will say, with bagging, I'm not a fan of bagging, especially grass. You know, leaves, I see the point. Grass, you know, I want those clippings in the lawn, as long as they're chopped up fine. You know, I want them in the lawn. So I'm not one of those guys that sees the point of bagging, but I know that in some areas and certain customers, that's what they want. You know, they want a bagged lawn. So what I'll say about the side mount catcher, I definitely prefer that over the factory bagger. You know, I definitely prefer the side mount catcher over the factory bagger. But if I was going to buy another one, especially if I was buying it for this mower, I would get the same size. I'd get the smaller bagger, but I would get an aluminum one. And I'm not promoting a brand or anything like that, because there's a lot of them out there. But I would get a aluminum bagger just because of the weight. And I honestly don't know what the weight difference is, like how many pounds of weight difference there is between a steel bagger and a aluminum bagger. But that steel bagger gets heavy. You can feel it when you're trying to operate the mower. You know, it's just a little awkward having that heavier. It doesn't seem to affect the cut or affect the hydraulics or anything like that. I'm just talking about, you know, it affects you as the user, keeping it in line when you're striping. And when you go to take it off, you know, wherever you have to carry it to empty it out, it's going to affect you at the end of the day there too, you know, in your fatigue, overall fatigue. So I would definitely recommend an aluminum bagger. But you know, as usual, I'm just using what I have, and the Rackham is what I have. So, and it works, you know, it works, and I'll continue to use it. So anyway, as always, guys, thanks for watching. Get out there and make some money, and we'll catch you on the next one.